Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Scott's Rad Travel Talks. I'm your host, Scott Radisi. We've got a great chat lined up today. I'm chatting with Emily Bookey, small business owner of Emily's Travels in Minnesota. Emily, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me on this little chat. I'm excited to talk to you just to get your perspective on the travel world as it opens back up. We are talking, I should mention, in the midst of the pandemic. So I think it's important to get your perspective because I know you were recently on a trip and we're going to get into that. But first, tell me about you and your agency.
I have been in the travel business for almost 8 years. I had no prior experience other than being in the hospitality industry, and my goal was always to be a business owner. I say that I work well with others, but not for others. And I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I'm a businesswoman, and I had used a travel agent in the past and didn't have a great experience. And I ended up having a major back injury at my job prior to being a travel agent, and needed something that I could do from home, and started Googling, how do you become a travel agent? Is this something I can do from home? My passion for travel, when you combine that with a career, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So I started and I joined a host agency, and from then on, my business continued to boom, and I was extremely blessed to create an incredible business, and I now have 5 agents that work under me.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. Now, just to explain real quick, a host agency is like a support organization. You're an independent agent with them, so you are small business owner. This is all yours
Yes,
as Emily's Travel, right?
exactly. Yes. Yes.
So, and then, we'll get into this a little bit later. I want to talk more about what that means, that buying power, those special offers that I think you have access to that customers can't even find online. But that's what we call in the business a teaser.
Absolutely. Yes.
But
Yes,
first,
it's
I
true.
know you were recently down in the Riviera Maya in Mexico. Beautiful destination. So tell me about your trip.
Oh my goodness, Scott. It was amazing. I could not wait to get on an airplane and know that my final destination was going to be Mexico. Um, it was a little bit nerve-wracking leaving my little bubble, but at the same time, I am born to travel, and I am young, and I had quarantined alone for the past 4 months, and I was excited. And the experience throughout the entire process was absolutely fantastic. Um, from the moment, obviously, you have to wear a mask on the plane, which getting from point A to point B, totally fine. And when we arrived, we had our temperatures taken at the airport. Then we went to we obviously had booked private transfers through our supplier. So we met our driver, and they sanitized our bags, they sanitized our shoes, they sanitized our hands. I immediately felt such a sense of relief because that is not something that we're doing here in the United States.
Thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not seeing shoes wiped down
No,
at the grocery store,
no,
right?
no, you're not. Like, and that I felt so comfortable. When we arrived on property, again, they took our temperatures, they sanitized our bags, they sanitized our shoes. Again, oh, the best part, Scott, I could not get over this. We're pulling into the resort, and we have to stop, and they're of course checking our names to let us onto the property. But a gentleman comes out and he's sanitizing the wheels of the tires before we pull onto the resort. Yes.
Wow. So they're
Yes.
keeping what was outside outside.
Yes. 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 And I could not get over it. I kept saying to my friend, look what they're doing. If we did this here, maybe we'd be in a different situation. Anyways, so the bags, the shoes, the tires, they took our temperature, and then they let us on property. And from that moment on, we were able to remove the mask if we wanted to.
Okay. Once you
Yeah,
got on property, it was your choice.
exactly. Yes. In the rooms, there was notes that said your room has been sanitized. There is a time frame so that once we check out, then no one is staying in that room for 48 hours. And then they go with your room is kind of quarantined after you leave. But yes, there was a bag in the room with anything that we might need, saying that everything had already been sanitized.
So you traveled to Mexico in mid-March, right? Right as or before the world effectively shut down. So it sounds like they took this time, and we're going to get into that resort you stayed at even more. Dive right in if you want to now. Tell me how different it was, even more than what you just explained, what you were impressed by between mid-March and late July, I believe you were there.
Yes, yes. So I actually flew home the day that the travel advisory went into effect. I was sitting at the airport, and then I was rushing to try to get clients home. But right before I board a plane, but we knew that it was coming. The resort was quite empty when I was there because I went March 15th through the 19th. And I'm a little bit more adventurous. I wanted to leave the country before I knew that I was going to get quarantined and locked down. So I went there, and at that time I did feel safe. The employees were not wearing masks at that time. It was still very new to all of us. But the changes, that is a huge change. All of the employees at the resort that I was staying at recently were required to wear a mask. Like they were sanitizing the chairs, of course. So if you would leave your beach chair, they would come around and sanitize the chair. That was a difference. We didn't see any of that. But the level of precautions from March to now were absolutely amazing. And I wish that I could see that everywhere around here, because if we were doing that, what they're doing, recognizing that you are carrying it on your shoes, I mean, everything that they did was so impressive. The tables would say that they were sanitized. Even at the airport, when I was leaving, I had lunch at the Cancun airport, and the tables said, one table away keeps the virus away. So they're spacing out the tables, and the tables have been sanitized. And going back to the airport, there is social distancing too. You have the social distancing markers on the floor. People were very respectful of that. So honestly, they have things stepped up like 10 notches from what we do here. And I felt so much safer in Mexico than I do it right at home.
I think that's what's interesting is there's that hesitation in travelers' minds, I believe. What are they doing over there? What are they doing in Mexico? Do they have the same standards? What you're explaining is I think their standards are a little bit higher to keep you and them safe. And people are hesitant. I don't want to go on vacation and have that mask tan line, right? When they're there.
Yeah.
You don't have to. And that's
No.
Yeah.
No, because they're doing what they need to at the door by checking your temperature, filling out a form. There is a form that you fill out upon arrival and then upon departure as well. Okay. So you get the form on the plane, and then you get another form before you go home. And you can do it. There's a website that you can go online, and our resort told us about it. So when we were on our way back to the airport, we were completing that form to show them the QR code. Sorry, I'm bouncing around, Scott, but I'm thinking of things as we go.
No, I think it's good. It's good because, well, trust me, there's so many things bouncing around, right? We can't predict the future, but what you saw in July, I want that full picture from you. I think it's very important for your clients to see that. So thank you.
Really good. Yes.
Let's get into the resort. We keep talking about the safety protocols as you go, but where did you stay?
I stayed at Unico, and technically it's Unico 2087. This was my second stay there. Okay. I stayed last June, and then I wanted to return to see how everything was. It is one of my favorite resorts, Scott. Oh my goodness. It's such a, I've stayed at a lot of all-inclusive resorts, but it's one of my favorites because the food is fantastic. Um, Food is obviously one of their specialties. They have amazing chefs. Their drinks, the mixology. I mean, you can of course get your gin and tonic, but the drinks that they make are so elaborate and beautiful and Instagram worthy.
Wow.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And the rooms are amazing. Their least expensive room is a swim up pool, and you don't see that.
No,
Yeah.
really?
That's always a very much upgraded cost, you know. So when you can get an ocean view or a swim up room for the same price, I love swim up. So it's beautiful. From the second that you step in the door, there's this smell. They actually sell their like candles to make you feel like you're at Unico when you're at home. Everything that they do is just so unique. When you are at your beach chair or your pool chair, the towels actually say, like, you can order your food from the app. Go on the app and order your food. And you have access to the app prior to your arrival. So you can talk to your concierge and you can do any requests that you have. One thing to mention is you kind of have it's not a butler, but it kind of is. You have your own local host is what they call it. And that host will do dinner reservations for you if you need to. But it's important to mention that you can do these dinner reservations on that app prior to arrival. Nice. They will have a drink in your room, a specialty drink, of course, one of their mixology drinks, ready for you to go when you come back from the beach or the pool that day. It's all set up ready for you. They will draw your bathtub if you want them to. Like the things that they do, it's not a cheap resort, but it's worth every penny that you are spending to be there. I actually had clients that I left on July 23rd and they flew out on Sunday and just spent 10 days and they got back 2 days ago. And they said it was the best resort that they've stayed at ever. So it says something. Like, their staff is incredible. And it's important because I experienced it when they were really busy, and now that they're at 30%, the staff is still as amazing.
Are they?
So yeah, that's important too. They're so friendly, and it's truly a resort to experience. It's absolutely beautiful. So many different touches that they do. Oh, they are limitless they have their limitless inclusions.
Okay.
So you can go to the spa and they have their spa menu. And let's say that a massage is like $200. You're only going to pay 25% of a service fee on that massage, as well as golf and tours. So it's fantastic. So when you're thinking about, okay, this might seem a little expensive, imagine that you could go to the spa every day for a massage, which is what my friend did, and only paid 25%. So, there's a lot included, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, this is an adults only resort, 18 and up, correct?
That is correct.
And tourism is such an important economic driver for that whole region. And I think that's what's so important for Americans, to feel confident in traveling back, going back to Mexico, right?
Absolutely. And they know that. Mexico knows that they survive on our tourism. So they have to be as safe as possible. And I can tell you, Scott, I had a conversation with Rodrigo, our waiter, that we had every single day. We continued to sit in his section so that he was so great. But we talked about what he's been through the last 4 months, and, the difference between, it was really important for me to hear, how did this resort support him? And because I want to support companies and resorts that also support their employees. And that was really great to hear how they took care of him, and, the changes that they've had to make. But he continued to say, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. And that just, it meant a lot to me. I was so happy to be there and give back to them right now too. They really need us.
They've done so much for the tourism industry on our side, right? To help us
Yes,
learn about the world and their culture. I love the Mayan culture in
me
Mexico,
too.
right?
Me,
And
yes.
I'm so happy they're back open. Let's just keep doing it safely. You're helping your clients and all your agents are helping your clients get back down there.
Yes.
Speaking of that, nice little segue here. Tell me why you think it's so important to book this resort, this destination, the world with a travel agent rather than booking online.
Oh my goodness, Scott, where do we begin with that? I definitely think that prior to COVID, that people thought that they could book their own trip and that it would be a simple task. Throughout all of this, I spent hours and hours and hours on hold. I think one day I spent 7 hours on hold because it's my job. And even though I'm not getting paid anymore, it's still my job to make sure that my clients are taken care of. And I had people that were reaching out to me and saying, we have been on hold with companies that I won't name any names, but for 12 hours and we don't know what to do and we feel helpless. And I just said, I'm so sorry. I wish that there was something that I could do, but I am having to take care of my clients right now. And I don't have the time to hold for 12 hours and try to figure out your trip. And they won't talk to me because I didn't book it. So I think that people are understanding that we truly are an advocate for our clients and we will go to bat for them. We will fight for them to get the refunds that they have coming to them. And it's also good to know that you have someone in your corner should anything arise while you are traveling. So, you know, pre-COVID, could someone book their own trip? Of course, but why wouldn't you? Do you do your own taxes? Do you know, or do you cut your own hair? I don't. So I would rather go to a professional. And we do know the resorts. We know them well. I travel. I needed to get my feet literally in the sand to understand what traveling is like during a pandemic. And so I think going to a travel agent is so important right now. Like, we are doing our due diligence to make sure that you are as safe as possible and that you are at resorts that are holding up to what we truly believe in too. And that's being safe.
You know, and you go down to these resorts, as you said, and get your feet in the sand and understand what is actually happening before you even get to the resort. What you just explained, I think it was a great thought, great idea that you did with private transfers. You feel a little confident with that. If I'm Mr. Traveler going online because I can do it myself, which I love your analogy of, I don't cut my own hair. I mean, I need a little help, but anyway, going to a professional, there's such a big difference because you've been there. You know what room category is available and why this type of client would match up with this type of resort and this type of room category. And I think that's just so important because you've been there. You're not just looking, you're not just looking at pictures on the internet, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. The internet is looking, but travel agents are for booking, we say.
Love that.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody watching, repeat it with me. Internet is for looking. Travel agents are for booking.
Yes.
And it's proven so many more times over since COVID.
Yes, absolutely. I think that people have realized it. And I've had people come to me and say, I will never book my trip without a travel agent again. And if that's, you know, what we can reiterate and continue to stress, you know, and we work so hard and we've worked so hard through all of this, and it's been tough. Yeah.
And you mentioned something else that I want you to highlight just a little bit more. You haven't been making a lot of money over the last few months.
Yeah.
Explain the fact that, tell me about why customers should look for a travel agent when I think I can go online and save money.
Well, support small businesses, first of all. But yes, as a travel agent, we are strictly commission based. So we not only spend all of those hours researching that trip for you and then booking that trip for you, And now we spend all of those hours canceling that trip for you. And we don't see a dime because we are strictly commission based. But it goes so much more above the dollar amount. And that is that travel agents are truly valued. I mean, I have worked so hard for all of my clients and hours and hours and hours, both before COVID and now during all of this. So it's definitely been eye-opening, and I think that why give your hard-earned money to a company that you are just a number? And to me, you're helping me pay my bills and to put food on my table, when to larger corporations, you're calling and you truly are just a number to them. And to me, you're like family. My clients are like my family. So.
That's awesome. And I believe you've got those direct connections with the resort contact people. You just talked about the server. I bet you could reach out and contact him when you've got clients heading back to Unico, with Delta Vacations, those types of companies, the tour operators and the other tour operators, wonderful companies. You've got direct contacts with those folks.
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, Scott, because I had left on Thursday and my clients were arriving on Sunday. So I sent a message via WhatsApp to my local host, and I said, my clients were supposed to be going in March on their anniversary trip, but we had to cancel it. And I want to make sure that this trip is special for them. Can you make sure that even if you're not their local host, would you mind contacting their local host since you are there and letting them know, and please make sure that they are taken great care of. And those are the connections that we go to make. Yeah. We go and we can email the resort manager and let them know that they're celebrating something. And if we have a problem and we aren't able to solve the problem ourselves, like I have made great connections with my suppliers for the past how many years. And that's how, we meet, and that's how we met. And so we make these connections through our business. And when we need to use them, those are amazing resources. So it goes above and beyond just having a travel agent book your trip, but also a travel agent making sure that your trip is special.
Yeah. And that's not just for this resort and this one destination. No. You sell the world, right?
Yes, I do. Yes. And I love to travel. And last year, I think I added it up. I was on like 11 different trips around the world. And, from Tahiti to Italy to Mexico, all over the place. So I go to network, to make these connections and to know these destinations well. And why wouldn't you want to use someone who knows what they're talking about?
Yeah. Ask the tough questions, right?
Yes.
You'll have the answer, or you'll be able to find that answer.
Absolutely. Yes. Because one of the many benefits of having a host agency is I have what I consider hundreds of colleagues that if I don't know the answer, or I don't know the general manager at that resort, they might. So, we have, the world is at our fingertips.
Absolutely. And that's another plus about being part of a host travel agency, to have that support, those colleagues with direct contact with you and with them. It's just, it helps all the way through.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in the moments we've got left, do you have any other wonderful information? I mean, you have such a passion for this industry and helping the travel world get back open again, Emily. Tell me a little bit more about what you think the traveling public needs to know in this time.
I think that it is important to know that if you want to travel, that there are ways to do it safely, and that many destinations are taking the proper precautions to do so. Many destinations right now are requiring negative COVID tests. Mm-hmm. And even using a travel agent, we can point you in the direction to where to go and get that, and the proper forms that you need to complete prior to arrival, so that you're not arriving. There have been horror stories out there that we've seen, Scott, about people arriving in destinations and being told that they have to quarantine. And so it's important to know, if you're going to go to this destination, then this is what you have to do. And if you're not willing to endure that process, then let's look at another destination. And if you're not ready to travel now, we can look at booking something next year. But I think that what we've all realized through all of this is that life is so short. And if you have that 10-year trip that you're thinking about, why not take it now? Like we don't know. So
Yeah.
I
You're
think
exactly right. And I think what you just described about so many people are saving up for that trip. It's just been a life savings. And especially what we're just going through now, a lot more people are falling on hard times. But the best thing you can do is protect that investment by working with a professional travel advisor like Emily and her team. And they're here for you.
yes, absolutely. I agree.
And my mascot, Lucy, believes in what you do too. I thought I'd share that.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Lucy.
But Emily, with that, thank you so much for your time and
Thank
wonderful
you.
information. This was great. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I appreciate you asking me, Scott. Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks for joining Scott's Rad Travel Talks.